I want you to think of the analogy here, the similarity when someone lands on your site. How welcoming is it? How much do you think they feel like it's for them? Because I want you to think about something today, because we're especially going to talk about the bio today. When someone lands on your site, they want to know how you're going to help them. And so a lot of times they'll go to your bio first after they have sort of found you in the Explore tab, or they've seen you as a friend of a friend and they kind of see your content. They kind of want to know, what is this and how does this help me? Really, honestly, that's what people want to know. How can you help them?
Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over glamour so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial. And now, here's your host, Ruthie Gray.
Welcome back, y'all. We are getting ready to do a series of 4 episodes here in November, every Monday, the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. And it's all about the 4 main keys to an Instagram platform that never change. Now, we all know Instagram changes constantly. At the speed of light, it is frustrating. We all get that. However, there are 4 main things that do stay the same that you can count on so far, that are kind of the same across all boards as far as all social media. You need these 4 things usually. And the first is a bio. You always have a bio in just about every type of social media that there is. The second is the content. You have to have good content, right? We provide content. So that's the second. The third thing is followers. You have to have followers, right? People who follow you and engage with your content. And everyone wants more followers because that grows your platform and that grows your reach. And then lastly, you almost always have a link where you can drive traffic off of that social media platform. So in these next 4 weeks, we are going to really hone in on these 4 keys. And while we do that, I want you to picture in your mind, think about a cafe. Have you ever been in a cafe? Surely you have. When my kids were growing up, the cafe here, our favorite one was called K&W. Does anybody remember the K&W cafes? Oh, their macaroni and cheese was to die for, and so was their chocolate pie. So every Sunday after church, we would go there, and usually a bunch of our friends would show up, and our kids would oftentimes go in a different booth than us so that they could feel like they had their own space or whatever. And we would eat with our friends. And it was just a great time from the beginning to the end, because the first thing you saw when you walked in the door was actually a person. And she was really the face of that K&W. She had blonde hair. She was older, had blonde hair piled on top of her head, but it was always like, think not your normal piled on top of your head kind of arrangement. Think more like Mickey Mouse ears, only like lopsided. And the kids always commented. We always commented on that lady's hair, and she was always very nice, but she was real dynamic and welcoming, and she always had something to say. So that she was like the face of the K&W almost. Then we started to go through the glorious aisle to see all the food. You know, it would start with the cold things, and I always loved their pea salad. I always got that. That was great. It was so yummy. Sometimes they would have fish, or there was always several meats, and they would have just different varieties. And then there was the mac and cheese and the potatoes and the mashed potatoes and their gravy. We loved their gravy. Then there was the breads and the desserts. And somebody always got either the chocolate pie or chocolate pudding. And this was like the formative years of my kids growing up, and they will always remember K&W. And I remember the day they closed down, we were all so sad. It took us years to recuperate. In fact, I don't think we've ever actually found a really good restaurant that we love quite as much as that cafe. Now, why am I talking to you about cafes? Because I want you to think of the analogy here, the similarity when someone lands on your site. How welcoming is it? How much do you think they feel like it's for them? Because I want you to think about something today, because we're especially going to talk about the bio today. When someone lands on your site, they want to know how you're going to help them. And so a lot of times they'll go to your bio first after they have sort of found you in the Explore tab, or they've seen you as a friend of a friend and they kind of see your content. They kind of want to know, what is this and how does this help me? Really, honestly, that's what people want to know. How can you help them? In the same way, when we went to K&W, we were there for our own pleasure, right? And it was an experience from beginning to end. And the very beginning was with that lady with the hair on top of her head. And then, you go on in and look at all the stuff, all the food. But the lady was kind of almost like the gatekeeper. And for lack of a better term, I think that your bio is almost like the gatekeeper. It kind of shows the flair and the personality behind the account. So let me tell you what I mean. I want to reference today, you probably know I have a membership, an Instagram Insider membership, and I have some members that have been with me for way over a year, some of them 2 years, some more. And a couple of them I want to reference today because I want to draw your attention to what they say in their bios. So the first person is Krista Hutchins of Do a New Thing. Now, Krista is a good friend and colleague. And Krista, her whole mantra is helping people with their projects, break them down into small bites. And she's a project manager in real life. And then she runs a mastermind called the Move Forward Mastermind. And it opens up every so often, every few times a year. And her bio says this: helping go-getter Jesus girls turn their big ideas into completed projects. She has the Just One Simple Thing podcast, which she references. And then she says, what type of stuck are you? Take the quiz. So she has a free quiz if you're stuck. This is how she relates everything to her target audience. Her target audience is women who are serving Jesus in different capacities, and they are trying to get their message out, whatever it is, whether it's a product or a book or whatever. And so she helps them break down what needs to be done next into small, simple steps. And she's doing this well through different avenues. One is through Instagram, and she uses all the forms of video. She's very good with it. And then she's got her podcast, and then she's also got a link there to take the quiz. It tells right off the bat who she helps. Now, let's go to another friend of mine, Wren Robbins. Wren was my podcast coach, and she is a podcast coach. I was actually her very first client back in the day, a couple years ago. So we have her to thank for this podcast, really. Now, Wren runs Friends of a Feather podcast, and she has for years. So she has that Instagram, but she also just started last summer the Wren Robbins Coach Instagram, because she felt like she needed to be more targeted. And that thing has really taken off. She's in the 300s now as far as followers. And she said it was so much easier for her to do that. And you can reference that podcast. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's how she grew her following to 100 in less than 15 days. And that aired over the summer. So I'll link that. But here's what she says: step by step, unique podcast strategies that can be easily implemented, catapulting women in biz to reach their goals. And then she says, Don't Wing It podcast host. And then she has a link. So she is giving podcast strategies that you can use to reach your business goals. She does that very well. So then the next person I want to reference, she's been with me as a client the longest, probably 2.5 years, maybe 3. She started out as a client and then she joined my memberships and she's still there with me. Her name is Jamie. Her husband is Chris and they run Expedition Marriage. And their account is just taken off like wildfire. Once she realized how easy Instagram was to implement as far as what to do with it, then she just took off. So their bio says, Chris and Jamie, marriage experts, learn to make your marriage God-centered, connected, and fun. Podcasters, authors, newlywed couples devotional, which they just recently released in the last year in 2020. And they have the 30-day Praying for Your Husband challenge. So each of these people spell out exactly who they're for. Okay. So you know who they're for and you know who they're not for. So that is the thing that you need to decide in your bio. You really have to niche down and decide who you are for, because once you do that, you got to not be for everybody, because that actually hampers your growth. So in your bio, do you tell who you're helping? Do you tell that you're helping? Do you tell why you're helping and how you're helping? So that is the thing that you have to keep in mind in your bio. Today's little assignment is to go back and look at your bio and see if it's clear to you. Are you showing who you're helping? Does it say who you're helping? Does it say how you're helping? Do you have a link in bio that points to your resources that help? So basically, tell who you're helping, what you're helping them do, and then have a targeted link to reference with that in your bio. Okay? Next week, we're going to talk about your content. So we're going to drill down a little bit. But before we go, I want you to know something. The doors are opening very soon for a new Instagram program I've developed. And it is coupled with my email course. Now, my email course is the Authentic Email Marketing School. And it is for those of you who are not so sure that you know what to write. Maybe you're inconsistent. Maybe you just aren't sure what to put in a newsletter. Or maybe you're not even really a writer, and so you don't know how to get this down and connect with your people. Maybe you're more auditory or verbal. This is a program that it's really all about email, but it's also about Instagram too. You see, what I've discovered is when I start coaching members about their Instagram, the weakest link is their link in bio. And the reason it's weak is because many times they don't have a targeted opt-in. And that's something that I've talked about today. Each of these 3 women have a targeted opt-in that goes directly with their products and their Instagram. So you have to have an opt-in. And the reason you need an opt-in is to get people on your email list. Why? Because social media is flaky. We all know Instagram will go down at the drop of a hat. We also know that it changes formats all the time. And you need a common ground off of Instagram, off of all social media, Twitter, Clubhouse, Facebook, Pinterest, all of that. You need to be able to get in their inboxes and connect with them. Why? Because that is the most personal, intimate way of connecting with your followers. And it opens the door to marketing and marketing the right way. So if you're seeing a disconnect If you're weak with your opt-in, if you're a little bit shaky on your email, if you don't know how to market, then this Authentic Email Marketing School is for you, along with the Authentic Social Marketing Accelerator. That is a 4-week program in January, starting in January, hitting these 4 key points and going deeper, of course, because there are layers, like exactly what do you put in your bio. If you want feedback, that's where you're going to get it. Your content, maybe you need help with that. Maybe you don't know exactly what your content should be. Then followers, how do you grow your followers? And what do you do to get them? I tell all the secrets inside. And then the link in bio naturally transitions into Authentic Email Marketing School, which is in February. But they're going to be in my Black Friday sale. So keep an eye open, keep an ear to the ground. It might even be soon. And when you see that sale, you want to snatch it up, because there's going to be a certain price, and it's only going to be for a couple of days, a 48-hour window, and the price will go up. So you want to check it out if you're serious about learning how to connect with your audience via email and grow your Instagram platform. Okay, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And stay tuned next week, where I'm going to give you some ideas for your amazing content.